This video is about why games are hard to rank. So rank like in a listing, top 10, top 15, top 20, right? So I'm gonna go over multiple reasons why. And please like, share, subscribe. I'll share the video all over. And yeah, so ranking games, first off here now, too many games. There's tons of games coming out, tons of old games, right? Lots of games out there. There's lots of games for multiple platforms and all that. So going through so many games, like it's actually harder to rank games, right? And sometimes too, again, a memory, so you have to go back and you have to play certain games to memorize details like in that games, right? And yeah, some games are better because they're more immersive, better overall details and all that, right? So it's a lot easier to memorize those details, like in the graphics, mechanics, collectibles and all that, right? So yeah, so but so many games out there. There's so many games, very hard to rank them, right? And yeah, another a reason why genre fatigue. So genre fatigue, if sometimes at least for me, if I play too much like a one genre, like fighting games or RPGs, eventually I'm gonna get a fatigue of it, right? And then I'm gonna have to go to something else, right? So genre fatigue, and this affects how you feel about that game, like in the moment. How you feel about that game like in the present, right? Is actually affected like by this fatigue, right? Because you might not wanna play this game, or you might not be as high like on a game, right, that you usually are, right? But due to this fatigue, right, the genre fatigue sets in, right? And yeah, like I had a racing game fatigue a couple of months ago. But yeah, another reason why is nostalgia bias. So nostalgia, right? So it's more so older games like are better, like in its creativity, innovativeness, right? There are more things too as well, more challenges, right, like in older games and stuff like that. But nostalgia bias too as well, like when you're a kid like when you're younger playing a game for the first time, it's more of a fresh experience, right? That experience is gonna be with you, right? As you get older, you've experienced so many games that it's very hard to have those fresh experiences, right? So yeah, a nostalgia, right? So older games, sometimes you rank older games higher because of that, right? And yeah, another reason why is technology advances over time. So games are better, games are better in terms nowadays, they're better in terms of their mechanics. Shooting is better, driving is better, right? Getting like into cover is better, right? Running is better, climbing is better. So many things about mechanics. Visually, games obviously are a lot better now in frame rate, resolution, all those things, right? 4K, 8K and all that, right? So yeah, back in the day, so older games I didn't have that, right? And these advancements, they're the opposite of a nostalgia bias. They're more so recency. So what you are recently like seen, or a new games, they're gonna be more impressive in terms of those things, visuals, the mechanics, right? All those things, right? The physics engines and all that, right? And yeah, and like I said before, like games now, driving is a lot better now, and so many things have improved, right? Shooting and using at the scope, getting like into cover, all those things are so much improved now. And yeah, another reason why games are hard to rank, mediocre games. So mediocre games, where do they rank, and how do you quantify like a game as a mediocre? This is a very hard question. It is a very hard question because it depends on the person and it depends on your preference, right? Mediocre games tend to be a lower budget, like will be like a lower budget game, Evil West for example, right? Or a game that has excessive content, but the content isn't very good, right? Or a game that's boring but has good elements in it. But mediocre games, where do they rank? They're very hard to rank. They are are very hard to rank. But it depends on your taste, what you like, and yeah. So another reason why is the content. Does like a bigger game mean a better game? This is not necessarily true. Certain cases, maybe a Red Dead 2, like for more open world games, Red Dead 2 for example, or Skyrim, or a Witcher 3 or so on, a GTA 5. For the more open world games, more content might mean that that game might be more worth playing longer, because you're gonna get more out of, for your money, like more time playing that game, right? But sometimes more content, it doesn't necessarily mean the game is better or should be ranked higher. It's just other things too. What's the execution like of the game and the gameplay loop, all those things, right? And yeah, but it depends. Again, it depends enjoyability. So the main thing I like with the game is if you're having fun, I like with the game. But the content thing comes in, and then it makes games harder to rank, right? A good example, Metal Gear Rising, for example. Metal Gear Rising, right? Metal Gear Rising is a very fun game, short game. I got to the point, right? Great, boss battle sequences and all that, but it is very short. There's not a whole lot of content. There's DLC, there's the little DLC storylines, and there's the training levels or whatever. But yeah, there's not a whole lot I like to the actual story or a campaign or extra campaigns and all that. So yeah, but again, it did very well, like for the 5 to 8 hours of it, right? Like it did very well, right? In its gameplay, a very fun game. Another reason why games are hard to rank are comparisons. So comparisons, sometimes they kind of you do get drawn into the comparison. So sometimes though, like you might down one game to up another game, right? When that's not necessarily one game. I might have better mechanics here, but the other game I might do other things better, right? So with the comparisons, it's very hard to quantify what makes a game better sometimes. But it goes back to that thing. How fun is that game overall? One game to up like another game, right? So this is more subjective, but a ranking list, so it's more so, some games have to go like on top, other games get left behind, like out of the ranking, right? But sometimes with ranking games, you get caught up in this comparison, right? So you're gonna dumb down a one game, right? Or let's say, okay, this game wasn't as good to up like another game. Sometimes this is not always true, but sometimes, right? So you get drawn into the comparisons, and that makes it even harder. And to compare so many games, right? And that's very hard. Another reason why, difference in genre. The difference in genre is a big one, because how do you compare a fighting game with like a racing game, or like an RPG game with some sort of action adventure game without like RPG, or let's say like an arcade game with like some sort of racing game? So yeah, how do you compare those genres? Action adventure, hack and slash. There's so many genres. First person shooter, multiplayer, right? MMOs, and yeah. So how do you compare them? And then ranking games, like if it's ranking games across a platform or on a specific platform. So the best PS4 games, how do you rank them? How do you rank them if there's so many different genres? This is actually probably one of the hardest reasons, right? The biggest reasons why games are hard to rank. But yeah, the difference in genre, they're just very hard to compare. And yeah. So yeah, and another thing too, DLC. So extra content. So sometimes DLC and extra stuff, right? DLC or extra modes, does that lift like a game up or over like another game? Some I may say no, because they're looking more at the actual base game, right? For example, me, I don't have PlayStation Plus, so I can't play online on certain games for the PS4. But playing, for example, playing the main game. So as playing the main game, for example, a Red Dead 2, I can't play Red Dead online, right? But the Red Dead DLC is like online. How much does that, if you're able to play it, how much does that play a role? GTA 4 DLC, for example, right? There's more content, more extra modes and all that. Call of Duty Black Ops DLC zombies, or DLC multiplayer maps, right? How much does that affect the ranking? The zombies, for example, are Returnal Towers, or a Devil May Cry Bloody Palace, or extra playable characters, right? this does add more replayability, value out of the game overall. How much does that rank? How much does that affect at the ranking of a game, right? And again, at this, it depends like on the person, right? But for me, replayability, I really evaluate, because when I go back to a game, I want to be able to go back to a game, right? Always, whether it be Devil May Cry or a Ratchet and Clank or whatever, Need for Speed, I want to be able to go back to that game after I finish it, or go back to different game modes and all that. So yeah, why games are hard to rank? Like, share, subscribe. This might be a part 1, part 2, depending, right? Thank you.